Hey everyone, welcome to GamersPlayGames. Today I'm going to be playing Alien Shooter 2, New Era. This is a top-down isometric action role-playing game where you take on the role of a lone survivor fighting against an alien invasion. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic world where the aliens have taken over. You must fight your way through hordes of enemies to reach the end of each level. Along the way, you'll collect weapons, armor, and other items to help you survive. The game is challenging but rewarding. It's a great game for fans of action role-playing games, so if you're looking for a challenge, then be sure to check out Alien Shooter 2, New Era. Now, let's get started. Watch me play and talk about Alien Shooter 2, New Era. I'm going to play the first level so you see how the game feels and plays. So, let's start. The game is a top-down, isometric action role-playing video game developed by Sigma Team. It was released on June 15, 2022 for Microsoft Windows. The game is a sequel to Alien Shooter 2, The Legend, and is set 50 years after the events of the previous game. The player takes control of a new protagonist who must travel to new locations and battle against both old and new enemies in order to survive. The game features a variety of weapons and items that can be used to defeat enemies. Players can also level up their character and learn new skills. The game also features a survival mode in which players must survive as long as possible against waves of enemies. The game has received positive reviews from critics. The game has been praised for its graphics, gameplay, and variety of enemies. However, some critics have criticized the game's lack of innovation. Here are some of the features of the game top-down isometric action role-playing game. Set 50 years after the events of Alien Shooter 2, The Legend, new protagonist, new locations, new enemies, variety of weapons and items, character leveling system, survival mode. If you are a fan of action role-playing games, then you should definitely check it out. It is a fun and challenging game that will keep you entertained for hours on end. Sure, Level 1 of Alien Shooter 2. New Era is a tutorial level that introduces the player to the game's mechanics. The player must fight their way through a group of enemies to reach the end of the level. The level starts with the player being given a pistol and a few bullets. The player must use these to defeat the enemies that spawn. The enemies are a mix of weak and strong enemies, so the player will need to use their weapons effectively in order to survive. The player will also need to use the environment to their advantage. There are a number of objects that can be used to block enemy attacks or to provide cover. The player can also use the environment to lure enemies into traps. Once the player has defeated all of the enemies, they will be able to reach the exit and complete the level. Here are some tips for completing Level 1. Use your weapons effectively. The pistol is a weak weapon, so the player will need to use it sparingly. The shotgun is a more powerful weapon, but it has a shorter range. The machine gun is the most powerful weapon, but it has a high rate of fire and can quickly run out of ammo. Use the environment to your advantage. There are a number of objects in the warehouse that can be used to block enemy attacks or to provide cover. The player can also use the environment to lure enemies into traps. Be patient. The enemies in Level 1 are not very strong, so the player can take their time to defeat them. There's no need to rush through the level. Thanks for watching. I had a lot of fun playing this game, and I hope you did watching it. The game's graphics and sound design were okay. For this type of game, the graphics are really okay, and the sound effects are rather immersive. I also enjoyed the game's gameplay. The level I played was not a challenge, but seemed fair, yet it was a lot of fun. I am sure you can try out different strategies to take down the enemies. I hope you learned something new about the game while watching me play. I tried to share some of my basic tips and tricks. If you enjoyed watching me play Alien Shooter 2, New Era, then please consider liking this video. Thanks again for watching. Take care.